Today's daf is daf Ayin Tes. That today we're going to be starting from Ayin Chesam and Beis, towards like 6 lines from the top. Let's just quickly review the psukim that we learned, because it comes up. The whole topic today is a husband being mefer the neder of his wife, nullifying the neder of his wife, or being silent. So the pasuk says, "V'beis isha nadar." If a woman made a neder in her husband's house, in other words, she's a married woman. She made an oath. V'shama isha, and the husband heard. Isha with a mapik hey is a husband. The husband heard the hechwishla, and he was silent. Now loy heini oisa. He did not nullify it. So he's silent but not nullifying it. What does that mean? He's silent but not nullifying it. So what? And then the pasuk says, "V'kamu kol nederel v'chol isra she'asa nafshe yakum." Everything becomes confirmed. So from this pasuk, it seems to imply that just a momentary silence automatically confirms a neder. So what does that imply? That means that sometimes if the husband is silent, but in his heart, he confirms the neder, and then he explains himself, let's say a day or two later, that, hey, when I was silent, I was confirming the neder took effect right away. Now, if there's another type of silence we're going to discuss, is a certain type of silence where the husband really is undecided, right? You don't know. I don't know. Do I want my wife to have this neder or not? So then, if he remains undecided till the end of the day, then it's automatically default. By the end of the day, that's when it becomes a confirmed neder. If he actually nullifies the neder, the husband nullifies the neder that day, then kol moitzis vosel in Israel is nationally yakom isha hafeiram Hashem yishlachla. Okay, so if he nullifies the neder goes off. Okay, now here's another important point we're going to discuss today. What type of neder can a husband mefer for his wife? So the pasuk says, the Torah clearly says that only if she causes stress.
Listen to it by yourself, please.
If she stresses her body. If she makes a neder to stress out her body, then the husband has a right to mefer. Let's say she makes a neder, I'm never going to Madison Square Garden. That's not a neder that the husband could be mefer. It's only a neder that stresses her body out. She says, I'm not going to eat a certain fruit. If he's quiet that entire day till the end of the day, the hekim is called then automatically the default is, if he's quiet, then it's confirmed. Because he was silent, didn't decide what he wants to do, then it's automatically confirmed. The Torah then says, let's say after was a confirmed neder, he decides, tells his wife, hey, by the way, I was made for your neder. Well, that doesn't work anymore. So Vanasa Savoina, if she, starts violating her neder, it's his avera. Fine. These are the laws that Moshe told the Eibishter told Moshe. Bein ish liishta. Here's an important thing. These things are between husband and wife, and that's very important. What the Chumash is saying right now is that the Torah is telling you there are certain things that really don't cause her stress. It's not something that she's answering. Let's say she says, I'm never going to eat a certain fruit. That's called inu nefesh. But now the Torah is telling you that there's certain nedarim that's called bein lebein ishtay. In other words, let's say she says a neder, I'm never making him supper to his wife, to her husband. So that's a neder, dvarim shebeina lebeina. That's between husband and wife. That type of neder, the husband can be mefer. So that's another type of neder, husband can be mefer. Not only an inu nefesh, but also Dvarim shebeino lebeino. So now we just so we review the psukim, the Gemara will become very smoothly. Rab Chanina made a comment. He said a statement. We learned that a husband can be quiet and in his heart confirm the neder. He says it's confirmed the neder. If he did that, if he's honest about it, he can't make for the neder anymore. If he was quiet and says, I want my wife to keep this neder, then it's automatically confirmed. So Rab Chanina said, but what happens? He's quiet and he's thinking in his heart, beautiful. He's thinking in his heart, really, I don't want my wife to have this neder. So he's nullifying the neder in his heart. Midairaisa, I'm pointing out, that nullification works. So there is no neder. And he's quiet. He's quiet, and he really is. So why is he quiet? Because he wants his wife to think that he doesn't care about her. And you want to have this neder? Go right ahead, have this neder. So he's like causing his wife. He's trying to like needle his wife or get on his wife's nerves. So he's quiet when she makes a neder, a certain neder, and he says quiet. In his heart, he's made for the neder. So then, really, the neder is made for. It's nullified. But midrabanan, he has to express the hafara. So therefore, made for afilim makan va'ad yid yomim. So he can nullify the neder even 10 days later. It doesn't have to be that day. So really, it's already nullified neder, but he could express the nullification even 10 days later. So that's a big chiddush, because you often think that a quiet, even if you nullify in the heart, should not work, because silence generally is usually interpreted. When I'm silent about something, it's usually I agree with the person, because if I disagree with the person, I would verbally express it. So in his heart, he's nullifying it. On his expression of his face, by being silent, he's agreeing with the neder. So Rab Chanina says, we go after what's in his heart, and the neder is nullified. So now the Gemara takes him to task. Masav Rava. So Rava asked a question against Rab Chanina. Eimasai Amru. When did we say this rule? Mesabal, if the husband dies, Nisreikna Rishus La'av, that means, let's say that, remember, when there's a 12-year-old girl that got engaged, so there are two partners that need to nullify a neder. The partner number one is the father, and the partner number two is the husband. This is as long as she didn't go down the chuppah. She just got engaged to the guy. So the Mishnah said, if the husband dies, so Nisreikna Rishus La'av, then the power reverts back to the father. So she made a neder when her husband and father were alive, and the husband died suddenly. Then the power to make for that neder that day reverts back to the father. But that's on condition two things. The husband never heard the neder. So therefore, this neder was not in the ballpark yet when the husband was around. So therefore, when the husband died, it's automatically the father has all rights to make for the neder. Or another case is sheshama v'shasek. The husband heard about the neder and was quiet about it, right? Or he did not hear about it, or he heard about it and was quiet. Well, when he's quiet that day, means he's undecided. So he didn't confirm the neder. So if the husband did not confirm the neder, so then the father, when the husband dies, can still do something about it. Or even better yet, the husband heard about the neder and actually wanted the neder to be nullified. And then and he died that day. So then, since this neder is still in play, because it's an unconfirmed neder, when the husband died, therefore the power now reverts to the father, where he could be made for the neder. But says the Mishnah, Shama, if the husband heard about it, vikiyam, and he confirmed the neder. So it's already a confirmed neder when the husband died. So obviously, the father can't do anything about it, because the husband, when he was alive, confirmed the neder. Or what happened? Sheshama v'shasek. The husband heard about the neder, was quiet about the neder the whole day. Umeis b'yom shel acharav, and he died the next day. So it automatically defaulted into a confirmed neder. And let's say then the next day the father hears about the neder for the first time, ein yachal ha'afer, he cannot make for the neder because it was confirmed from the day before. So v'shasak, the Gemara wants to interpret that, is my love. What do you mean he was quiet? Sheshoisek almanas lamekat. He was quiet with the intention to what made it a confirmed neder? Because the husband was quiet. Now, why was he quiet? Because in the husband's heart, perhaps he was even trying to make for the neder. And nevertheless, it's considered to be a confirmed neder because despite what was going on in his heart, we look at the silence, and the silence indicates that he wants to confirm the neder. We don't care what's going on in his heart. So that's a proof against Rab Chanina, who said a silence with a nullification in the heart. We go after what's in his heart, and it's a nullified neder. So the Gemara says, that's not what we're talking about here in the Mishnah. It's talking about the husband was b'shoisek almanas l'kayim. He was quiet, but he confirmed the neder in his heart. So the Gemara says, if he's confirming the neder in his heart, and that's what his silence was, that's what. Then what's the difference between that part and the other case where it says if the husband heard about it and confirmed it, or he was quiet and he's confirming it in his heart? They both seem to be saying the same thing. Answers the Gemara, Ella, no. Rather, what it's talking about, b'shoisek stam, like I explained as we were learning it. I gave it away. Basically, he was quiet because he was undecided. So it defaulted at the end of the day into a confirmation. So what we come out so far is, again, let's discuss three types of quietness. One type of quietness is when the husband's undecided, and therefore, at the end of the day, it becomes a confirmed neder. Another type of silence is when the husband, and he's true about what's going on in his heart, wants to confirm the neder. So he's like, but in his heart, he agrees that his wife made a neder. It's a good idea. So then it's automatically confirmed neder. If the husband's honest about it, he cannot make for the neder anymore because he already confirmed it in his heart. Now, if he was shoisek, and he's saying in his heart he was nullifying the neder, then we according to Rab Chanina, it's a nullified neder. That's according to Rab Chanina. So the Gemara is going to keep trying to attack that statement. If a husband is quiet with a nullification in his heart, do we say it's a nullified neder? Masiv Rav Chizda asked the question. There's another brayso that says there's some stringencies by confirming a neder over nullifying a neder, and nullification sometimes is more stringent than confirming a neder. There's different halachas by each of them. So let's see, choyme behekem. There's a stringency by hekem. Why? So we go to Amud Aleph. By confirming a neder, shastika makayamas. Beautiful. Silence is always an indication that you're confirming the neder. And here you can see what the question is. Here the brayso says that silence is confirming it. I don't care what's in your heart. They ain't shtikim about tellus, but silence can never nullify a neder. So kiyam beliboy, if in your heart you didn't say anything and you're confirming the neder, kiyam, then it's a confirmed neder. Heifer beliboy, if you're nullifying in the heart but you're silent, ain't for it's not a nullified neder. And the brayso says something that's probably kiyam, once you confirm a neder, ein yachal offer, you can't change your mind and nullify the neder. Heifer, if the husband nullified the neder, so the neder disappeared. So ein yachal l'kayim, then he can't confirm it anymore. He already nullified it. He can't be mekayim. So katani, it says clearly in this brayso, shahasasika mekayemes, that being silent, I don't care what's in your heart, automatically confirms a neder. My love, wouldn't you think that this brayso means to include b'shoisek amanas lameka, that he's quiet on condition with in the intention in his heart was to nullify the neder. But why is he quiet? Because he wants to needle his wife. He wants his wife to think that he confirmed the neder. But he's quiet, so he's quiet. So his wife thinking, you're confirming my neder? But really in his heart, he's made for the neder. And yet, the brayso seems to say that doesn't work. That's an automatic confirmation. So the Gemara says, no. loy, b'shoisik amanas l'kayim. The Bryce is not talking about shoisik amanas l'mekat. He's quiet with the intention to needle his wife. The Bryce only says silence is a confirmed neder is if you're actually confirming it in your heart. B'shoisik amanas l'kayim. If you're confirming it in your heart, that's when silence is a confirmed neder. So the Gemara asks, wait a second, Hainu kiyim b'liboy kayim. The next case means that you're confirming in your heart, that confirms a neder. So confirming in your heart means you're silent on your mouth, and yet that's a confirmed neder. So what is shtika, silent? What is that coming to add on to that? It must be, the Gemara says, it's shoisik amanas l'meneka. So the Gemara says, no, ela b'shoisik stam. If you're silenced because you're undecided, that confirms a neder. So again, we're back to our square one. There are three silences. If you're shoisik stam, you're undecided, the neder is confirmed at the end of the day. If you're quiet, but you're confirming it right away in your heart, then you can't be made for the neder anymore. It's a confirmed neder. But what we're talking about, and this Bryce is not talking about, ashtika amanas lameka. You're quiet. You want your wife to think that you confirmed the neder, but really you're not confirming the neder. You're nullifying in the heart. So Rav Chanina stands his position that is considered a good hafara. So the Gemara says, just a side point, Ashkechan choyme behekem behefer. The Brisa only told you the stringencies of confirming over nullifying a neder. How do you see the other way? Behefer behekem minolam. In other words, not minolam, but how do you see a stringency over nullification of a neder versus a confirming a neder? And how is this being nullifying a neder more strict than confirming neder? Rabbi Yehuda, nishalan al hekem, the nishalan mal hefer. Beautiful. If a man confirmed his wife's neder, he said, "Honey, I confirmed your neder. It's a great neder." And then there's a rabbi sitting next to him, and he says, "Rabbi, release me of my confirmation of my wife's neder." The rabbi could release him right away on that hakama that he did. In other words, he can say, the husbands can say, "I didn't know that my wife will find us so strict to keep this neder." And the once the rabbi hears it, he can undo the confirmation of his wife's neder. Well, the ein nishalan ala hefer, but he cannot undo nullification. If a man says to his wife, your neder is nullified, once he said that, he can't go to the rabbi and say, "Can you undo that because I want to confirm it?" No, that doesn't work. So there's a stringency over hafara, over nullifications, that there's no second chance vis-a-vis a confirmation. Okay, Masiv. So here comes the final three blows against Rav Chanina's position. Masiv Rav Kahana. We learned this, Rav Kahana. Rav Kahana said that, let's call the psukim up. The Torah repeats it twice. Two cases where the husband was silent. And here the Torah says, hachrish yakrish. If he's very, very silent for that day, then it's a confirmed neder. So the Brisa says clearly, if the husband is silent that day, that the pasuk actually saying that if a husband is quiet because he wants his wife to think that he's confirming the neder, but really he's nullifying the neder, the pasuk is talking about that, and the pasuk itself calls it a confirmed neder. We don't go after what's in your heart; we go after your silence. You say, so the Brisa continues. You say that pasuk that confirms a neder is talking about somebody who's silent with on the condition because he wants to needle his wife. Maybe the pasuk is really talking about a guy who's silent because he wants to confirm the neder. So how do you know it's talking about the b'shoisek amanas lameka? Answers the Gemara. I have another pasuk for that. Kishu oimeki hacharish law. The pasuk says another pasuk that says because he was silent. The previous pasuk was talking about somebody's quiet because he wants to confirm the neder. What do I use the pasuk hacharish isha? That he silenced with the condition to needle his wife And the Torah is teaching you, because he's silent in front of her, like he's like showing her, I'm silent in front of you. So that's interpreting, we don't care what's in his heart, that he wants to nullify the neder. We looked at his facial features, which indicates that he agrees with the neder. And it's a confirmed neder. So to Yufta, this is a total knockout for Rav Chanina's opinion, who said that no, it's a nullified neder. No, we see the pasuk and the brisa seems to say it's a confirmed neder. We have two psukim that are talking about a person quiet, and I said one pasuk says the first pasuk v'shama isha v'hechrishla. So this first pasuk is talking about a quiet, to be silent. He wants to keep the neder. And then why don't we say Hachrish is talking about somebody who is quiet because he's undecided. How do you know it's talking about Shoisek Amanas Lameket? And the Gemara is going to answer because it says Hachrish Yachrish. So it is extra word silent in that pasuk. But like him, Ha b'Shoisek Amanas Lakaim, Ha b'Shoisek Stam. That when he's a quiet and undecided, yes, that's a confirmed neder. But a shoisek amanas lemekat would not be a confirmed neder. And says the Gemara, there's many times the pasuk says he's silent, and yet each time the pasuk said he's silent, if he's silent in front of her, that's an indication of confirming the neder. And it doesn't matter what's going on in his heart; it's a confirmed neder. So it's again a knockout blow against Rab Chanina. Another question. The Gemara keeps going after Rab Chanina. Masav Rava. I'm going to point out that it's interesting that when the Torah describes a husband needling his wife and he's silent, it's only talking about a husband that's married. Actually, he got married. Really, the Torah could have said this idea by a husband that's engaged to his wife. If he's silent, amanas lemekat. But generally, he's still in a honeymoon experience with his wife. So he's not going to do that. But when he's actually married a number of years, sometimes a husband will be silent, even in order to needle his wife. That silence is really considered a confirmed neder. Masiv Rava asked the question. Nodrim chashecha, and our Mishnah it says that if a woman made a neder towards, like in Shalosh Shudas time, mefer ad shaloi chashka, the husband should mefer the neder prior to it getting dark. If he's not going to nullify the neder and it gets dark, Matzah Shabbos, he cannot mefer anymore. So the Gemara says, why? Amai. Why doesn't the Chacham say you can't use the word hefer? You can't mefer on Shabbos. Nothing. All we should tell the guy is that, look, be silent, mefer in your heart, and that makes it mukber by itself. And that's why it should work. Why do we say, no, you have to verbalize it on Shabbos and say mefer? Amai, lehevik ishoisek amanas lameket. Why can't he be silent to needle his wife, not say anything, but he can nullify the neder in his heart? So even our Mishnah seems to apply that once you're silent, even if you want to nullify in your heart, it's a confirmed neder. To Yufta, again, it's a refutation against Rav Chanina. One more refutation against Rav Chanina. Master Ravashi says, if a man says, a husband walks into Bezdin, he says, Yedei ani sheyesh nedarim, aval eini yedei sheyesh mafira. I know that a husband can confirm a neder of his wife, or that there's nedarim there that his wife made, but I never knew that you can nullify the neder. I heard my wife made a neder, but I didn't learn Chumash, I didn't go to yeshiva, that I can do something about it. Now I went to the Daf Yomi and I learned that a husband could make for his neder. So is it too late? The Brisa says yofer. No, he can make for the neder, it's not too late. But what happens if he says, Yodei ani sheyesh mefirim? The husband says, I knew I could nullify the neder. Aval eini yodei shezeh neder. I didn't know that this is a neder I could nullify. So he knows the concept that a husband can nullify a neder, but he didn't know that this is the type of neder that he can nullify, because he knows that certain neder like his wife makes, if she, like say, again, if she makes a neder and she's not going to Yankee Stadium, so that's a neder that he can't nullify. So I didn't know that this particular neder that my wife made, I could nullify. So Rameir says, Lo Yafer, it's too late. He can't be mefer. Chachamim say, Yafer, he could be mefer the neder. So now the truth is, Va'amai, why according to Rameir, why can't he be mefer it now? even if he was silent, but in his heart, he didn't want his wife to have the neder. He just didn't know that he could say mefer. So it's a silent with a condition, amanas lamekat. It's a silence with a condition to tease his wife, because in his heart he wants to nullify the neder. He's silent because he doesn't know he could be made for the neder. And Rameya says too late. Why? He never really confirmed the neder in his heart. He was just silent about it to Yufta. So this is refutation. It shows that even if you're silent, as long as a husband is silent, no matter what's going on in his heart, it automatically, by the end of the day, gets defaulted into a confirmed neder. So all silence is considered agreement. Hadrunalach Nara Marasa, and we Be'ezras Hashem begin the 11th parak. The Elu Nedarim, the following Nedarim, Shuhu Mefer, that a husband could nullify for his wife, and according to the Ram, a father can nullify only these Nedarim for his daughter. Can't Nefer for his daughter either. She makes a neder that I'm not going to Yankee Stadium, so that's not considered inu nefesh, a stress on the body. So therefore, they can't be mefer. But the following are examples of stresses, dvarim sheyesh b'hem inu nefesh, things that have stress against the body. Let's say she says, it's hard to understand what it means. I'm taking a bath. We'll see that in the Gemara. But let's say she makes a neder, I'm never taking a shower or a bath. So that's a neder that causes her stress. Or im es kashet, v'im es kashet. She says she's never putting on makeup. Okay, so that's a stress that's called inui nefesh, something that pushes a stress on the body. Amar Rabbi Yossi, we go to Ayin Testament base. Rabbi Yossi says, "Ein elu nidre inu nefesh." That's not called nidre inu nefesh. Rabbi Yossi disagrees. That's not a stress against the body. That's a stress. That's not a neder of stress against the body. It's a neder that the husband could be made for if she says, "I'm never going to take a bath." But that's a dvarm shebeina lebeina. That's a personal hygiene. That's something that the husband. It's something that normally a woman does for his wife. A woman does for her husband. She takes a shower and she washes herself. She puts on makeup. So that's called something that a woman does for her husband. Those private, personal things. Those are nedarim that the husband could be made for. But that's not an example of inu nefesh, something that causes her stress. The Eilu nidri inu nefesh. So let me give you an example, Rabbi Yossi says, of what's called a neder that causes pain to the body. Amrav, she says, koinem peris ha'olam alai. She says she's never eating another fruit. So then, how could you survive without fruit? And of course, she's missing out. So hareze yachal hafer, he could nullify that neder. What happens if she says, she goes to Stop and Shop, and she says, Peris Medina Zu Alai. She says, I'm never eating Jaffa oranges. So, Yabilam Medina Acheres. Then he can't be made for that neder because she could eat the sun-kissed oranges. So not necessarily Brazilian oranges. So that's not an example of where a husband can be made for, because there's another way out of it. So, but what happens? He says, "Peris chenvani zeh olai." I'm never walking into that store. This guy is a fruit store owner. I'm never walking into that store. Eina yachal lahafer. He cannot be made for those nedarim. Why? Because she doesn't have to walk into that fruit store. She can walk into other fruit stores to buy. So that's a neder that he cannot be made for. But let's say this fruit store that she made a neder she's never walking into was the only fruit store that gave her credit. In other words, if she walked into another fruit store, she wouldn't be able to buy anything because they don't offer credit. This fruit store happens to, write down, you don't have to pay right away. So by making the neder that she's not walking into this particular fruit store that was so good to her, she's causing inu nefesh because she won't be able to eat fruit anymore. So harezeh yafer, the husband could be made for such a neder, and that's divrei Rabbi Yossi, and this is what Rabbi Yossi said. Again, we repeat the name Rabbi Yossi twice in the Mishnah. So the Gemara discusses the obvious elephant in the room, that the Mishnah only discussed nidrei inui nefesh, who the mefer. The nidrei that causes pain to the body, that's the only type of neder a husband can be made for. She'ein behem inui nefesh, but if it's a neder that doesn't cause pain to her body, Ain't a mefer, he cannot be mefer. Let's say a woman says, "Honey, I'm not to her husband. I'm never making you supper anymore. I'm never making you supper. I asked her the oven on me. So can he cannot make for that? But Tanya, we learned in the Brisa, the Chumash says, "Bein ish liishtoi, bein av libitoi." That Malamed, that means there are nedarim between a man and his wife, personal nedarim, that the man has a right to nullify. Malamed, this teaches you clearly, shahabal meifin nedarim shembeinoy leveino, that a husband could nullify nedarim that are personal between husband and wife. So how could you say that only inu nefesh the husband could be made for, not something that's personal beinoy leveino? Answer the Gemara, yes. But that's not the topic of our Mishnah. Amrei, the Yeshiva boys answered, Halain v'halain mefer. A person can be made for it. These both nedarim, both the neder of inui nefesh and the neder of dvarim shebeino beneno. Miu inu nefesh mefer loilam. If it's a type of neder that causes her pain, let's say she's not eating fruits, okay? So then when the husband nullifies it, it's gone. Aval emehem inu nefesh. If it's a type of neder that's not something that causes her pain, he says, "I'm not making you supper," right? Kid isit who say habe hafara. So when he's made for the neder is nullified as long as she remains married to him. Michi megarish law, but when he divorces her, chaya ala nidra, then the nidra takes back effect. If it's type of neder that's not inu nefesh, but it's personal, because he's divorced from her, and she says she's never making him supper. So after they get divorced, she can never make him a supper or serve him food. But if it's a neder that has inu nefesh, that means it causes her pain. Again, it's repeating it. Let's say she's not going to eat fruits. So then, the neder doesn't come back. So now the Gemara just says two more points. The Gemara just corrects it, that there is a difference. The Gemara is now saying there is a difference between inu nefesh neder and the devarim shebeino lebeino. Inu nefesh type of neder gets nullified for good, but devarim shebeino lebeino is nullified as long as they're married. But when they get divorced, it takes effect again. So the Gemara says, is that so? If it's a type of thing that has no inu nefesh, but it's a personal neder between husband and wife, would you say it comes back, the neder, if he divorces her? But now we learned in the Mishnah, a woman says to her husband, "I'm never serving you. I'm never going to serve you." Okay? So that kind of neder shouldn't take effect in the first place, because when he married her, she has obligations to serve him. So therefore, the Tanakama holds that he doesn't have to nullify the neder, because the neder doesn't take effect in the first place. But Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri Aimer Yofer, he should make for the neder. Why? Shema Yugarshena, because maybe he will divorce her. Utehei Asuraloi. And then she will become asa to him, because if he doesn't nullify the neder, if he does not nullify the neder, then the neder would take effect after they get divorced. So nullify the neder, so it never takes effect after the divorce. Rabbi Yochanan says, make sure such a neder gets nullified for good, because then it gives you an opportunity to remarry again. So Alma, so we see that if a husband nullifies a neder beino lebeino, if he nullified it, it's gone for good. If he nullified such a neder from the very get-go, it's a hafara that remains forever. So there seems to be that the inu nefesh neder and beino lebeino neder are two nedarim that when the husband nullifies it, they're both the same. They're nullified forever. So what is the difference between an inu nefesh neder, that our Mishnah is only talking about an inu nefesh neder and not talking about a devarim shebeino lebeino neder? What would be the difference? Amrei, so the Rabbanan answered like this, and this will end it. Halein v'alein habi hafar. A husband can nullify both types of nedarim. a Devarim Shebeino Lebeino, or an Inu Nefesh type of neder. Elo Nidre Inu Nefesh, a Nidre Inu Nefesh, Mefer Bein La'atzmai Bein La'acheren. It's gone forever. If it's a Nidre Inu Nefesh, let's say she says, I'm not going to eat fruits, when he makes a hafara on that, it's nullified forever. But Abraham Inu Nefesh, but if it's not an Inu Nefesh type of neder, a type of neder, she says, I'm not going to serve him, right? So if once he nullifies that neder, it's nullified not only after she gets divorced, not only while he's with her, but even after she gets divorced. That's clear. But if she would marry somebody else, where there's no longer of option that the first husband could remarry her, then the neder re-kicks in again, and therefore he can never, if he's invited by this new husband over for dinner, she can never serve him, because that neder re-kicked in again, even after he was made for it when they were married to each other. So that's what the point is. Ein behem inu nefesh. If there's no inu nefesh, but rather it's devarim shebeino lebeino, that type of neder la'atzmai mefer. As long as he can marry her again, even after she's divorced, then the neder doesn't take effect. It's nullified. La'acheren, but once she married somebody else, ein mefer, it's not considered a nullified neder, but it re-kicks in again. And this is what the Mishnah means to say. Our Mishnah is talking about a type of neder, which once it's nullified, it can never come back. That's only if it's type of neder that really would be pain to her body, that's a neder that's forever. Once the husband nullifies, it's forever gone. But if it's a dvarim shebeino lebeino, our Mishnah is not discussing that, because there's a possibility that neder could come back again. If she would marry somebody else, that neder, dvarim shebeino lebeino, would re-kick in again, even though it was mufer again by the first husband. So that's the difference. Okay, so we'll stop over here. But one of the things clearly that you have to know the difference between a neder of inu nefesh and a neder of dvarim shebeino lebeino.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good Shabbos.
Shabbos.
Shabbos, everyone.